Chapter 32. Will this do? Penny asked, turning in a circle. She wore a summer dress not too short, with her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Perfect, Matt said, his eyes lingering on her a moment longer than necessary. The Barry clan gathered at his mother's house on Saturday evening for dinner. Failure to attend risked the wrath of Mrs. Barry, not to be taken lightly. He'd made the decision to bring Penny. Gossip spread at the dinner table like wildfire. Besides, Kat had been asking to meet Penny ever since she'd learned about her from Oberst, so why not bring her? Are you sure this is a good idea? Penny asked for the third time. Yes, they're going to talk about you anyway. Might as well be there. Penny crossed her arms and cocked her head. You're sneaky. Why am I sneaky? Because you think if I'm present, they'll give you less crap, that's why. He had to admit the thought had crossed his mind. I thought about it. I'm not going to hide you from my family. I'm nervous. The dinner table can be rough, but you'll hold your own. I should probably give you a rundown on the Barry family before we arrive. Please do. All I know is there are 7 of you, which sounds insane. Matt smiled. My parents, Lloyd and Patricia, are retired now. Dad was an accountant. Mom taught elementary school. Then there's the Barry squadron. I know about Kat. Helen is next. She's married to Chris, who owns a string of car dealerships. Then there's Robert and John. They're the lawyers at Barry and Barry. They're both married to high-powered career women. Robert's wife is a stockbroker. John's wife is a partner at one of those huge law firms downtown. The brother who's kicking you out of your house is Robert, right? The same. Harris is the plastic surgeon. He's got the ego to match. Gordon's the baby of the family, still trying to figure his life out. That's only 6, Penny noted. You said there were 7 of you. Matt's expression softened slightly. Warren. He passed away a few years back. He wrote children's religious novels. Was probably the best of us, honestly. I'm sorry, Penny said, reaching over to squeeze his arm. It's fine. Now you know. Your family sounds like a reality show waiting to happen. Just wait till you see them all together. The competitive gene runs strong in the Barry blood. Lloyd and Patricia Barry, Matt's parents, lived of all places on Ranger Street 3 miles off Central Expressway, north of Parker. The house, 40 years old, was built into a hillside and was one of the few houses, perhaps the only house in Vista Ridge, with a basement. There it is, Matt said as they turned onto Ranger Street, pointing to a white house. It was the first house on the right when you turned onto Ranger Street. The long driveway was littered with vehicles. Matt found a spot at the end of the driveway. He turned to Penny. Ready for the circus? I've been meaning to tell you, Matt said. I got a text from Caitlin Fallon today. She's left for her movie and the house is clear. Did it boost your ego? Penny asked. He played dumb. What do you mean? Penny smiled at him. You know exactly what I mean. Did getting a text from Caitlin Fallon boost your ego? He laughed. Yeah, it did. I thought about framing it. Penny shook her head and changed the subject. What time do you want to start in the morning? Matt smiled. Penny was not an early riser. I can make a trip early before you get up, he offered. Wake me. Are you sure? I'm sure, she said. Matt pointed. There's Helen, my older sister, and her husband, Chris. We might as well start the party. Let's go meet them. Helen, a tall, dark-haired, attractive woman, waited for them next to a sleek Mercedes with paper plates and a price sticker still in the window. Her husband, Chris, stood beside her, tall and broad-shouldered in a casual button-down shirt, looking at his phone. Nice car, Matt said as they approached. Helen beamed. Chris brought it home. I'm supposed to test drive it. My Lexus, after all, is almost 2 years old. Chris looked up from his phone with a good-natured eye roll. This is the 3rd one this month. I'm running out of inventory for her to reject. The silver one handled better, Helen said defensively. The silver one was identical to this one except for the color, Chris said, extending his hand to Matt. Good to see you, Matt. You too, Matt said, shaking his hand. This is Penny. Chris turned to Penny. Good to meet you. You too, Penny said. And? Does this one pass inspection? Matt asked Helen, nodding toward the Mercedes. Helen made a face. Chris suggested this one better pass. I just can't decide. It's beautiful, Penny said, looking at the car. Helen looked at Penny with an appraising gaze. So, Matt, aren't you going to tell us more about your friend? Just Penny hardly tells us anything important. Penny McKnight. We've been seeing each other for a few weeks now, Matt said. Helen made a noise, an acknowledgement of sorts, and started toward the house. She doesn't like me, Penny whispered when Chris was out of earshot. You're not dressed in Versace, and your nose doesn't stick quite high enough in the air. She doesn't dislike you, Matt said. Chris seems to like you, though. He seems nice. Are they all like Helen? Penny asked, concerned. Matt chuckled. No, it gets much better. Penny poked him in the side. You're a butt. Patricia Barry swept out of the kitchen, drying her hands on a dish towel as she pulled Matt into a quick hug. You made it, she said, giving him a once-over before turning to Penny. And who might this be? This is my friend Penny. Patricia offered Penny a warm smile. It's lovely to meet you, Penny. Dinner's just about ready, so you two better grab a seat. We'll talk more later. The questions for him, Matt knew, would come later when the two of them were alone. Before they could make it to the dining room, Kat intercepted them. You must be Penny, she said, pulling her into a hug. I'm Kat, Matt's much cooler sister. Don't let him tell you otherwise. Penny laughed, a little caught off guard by the embrace. It's nice to meet you. Kat stepped back, gave her a quick once-over, and raised an eyebrow at Matt. Has he said a bunch of mean things about me yet? Be honest. Not a word. You have a clean record so far. Kat turned serious. I want to say I'm sorry about your dad. I know this probably isn't the best time to bring it up, but I mean it. Thank you, Penny said. There was a beat of silence just long enough to settle before Kat leaned in again, her curiosity getting the better of her. So, how'd you two meet? Penny smiled at Matt, who suddenly looked uncomfortable, then said easily, A friend set us up. Kat blinked and turned to Matt. Wait, you went on a blind date? From the dining table, Robert's voice called out, Kat, quit hogging her. Let her sit down before you start the interrogation. Kat gave a mock salute. Yes, counselor. She stepped aside with a grin, and Matt and Penny made their way to the table. They took their seats at the long dining table. Matt pulled out Penny's chair. She was seated between him and Robert. Matt sat down beside her. Everyone, Matt said, this is Penny McKnight. Across the table, Harris, the plastic surgeon and one of Matt's older brothers, went pale, his eyes fixed on Penny for a long moment before he quickly looked away. No one else seemed to notice as conversations resumed around the table. I'm Robert, his brother said, extending a hand. You own Matt's house, Penny said, shaking hands. That's right. One of my investment properties. His expression darkened slightly. Though I'm currently facing quite the repair bill, bullet-riddled cabinets, a shot-up refrigerator, and a completely destroyed patio door. Matt jumped in. Actually, according to the lease, I'm only responsible for damages caused by the tenant. Besides, don't you have it insured? Penny's eyes widened. Surely Matt isn't making you pay for that. She looked between the brothers. That doesn't seem right. The lease is quite clear, Matt said. Penny placed her hand on Matt's arm. That's an awful thing to do to your brother. We'll cover the damages, of course. She smiled at Robert. He's your brother, Matt. Matt started to protest, but Robert's face had already transformed. A broad smile replaced his pinched expression as he put his arm around Penny's shoulders. Welcome to the family, Penny, Robert said. Where's Dad? Matt asked, noticing the absence of his father. In Shreveport, buying more Civil War junk, Harris said, sneaking a look at Penny out of the corner of his eye. Matt turned to Penny. My dad collects Civil War memorabilia. He has an impressive collection. What kind of memorabilia? Penny asked. Matt leaned back in his chair. Everything from artillery shells to uniform buttons. His prized possession is a Model 1860 Army Colt revolver with original holster rig that belonged to a cavalry officer from Mississippi. How interesting, Penny said. His mother stepped out of the kitchen. Dinner's ready. Penny, would you be a dear? Sure, Penny said, and obediently followed Mrs. Barry into the kitchen. Matt watched Penny depart. The Inquisition has started, he mumbled to himself. After a time, Mrs. Barry, followed by Penny, brought the food to the table. Dishes were passed from hand to hand. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, a basket of rolls. Plates filled quickly, the sound of serving spoons and quiet conversation mixing as everyone began to eat. Robert coughed politely. Matt, I was wondering when you plan to be out of the house and have those repairs taken care of? It is approaching the end of the month. I'll start moving out tomorrow. I'll be staying at Caitlin's place for a while, Matt said. Helen set down her fork. Who's Caitlin? My friend Caitlin Fallon, Matt replied, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly. Robert's head snapped up. Bullshit. You don't know Caitlin Fallon. Gordon, Matt's younger brother, leaned forward, nearly knocking over his water glass. Wait, you know Caitlin Fallon? The Caitlin Fallon? From the midnight hour? He's lying to you, Helen said, rolling her eyes. He doesn't know Caitlin Fallon. Matt shrugged, enjoying himself immensely. I do, actually. I'm staying at her house. You know, doing what friends do for each other. He turned to Penny, who sat quietly beside him. Penny, would you mind verifying that for my suspicious family? Penny smiled. It's true. Matt's house-sitting for Caitlin while she films in Prague. The table fell silent as all eyes moved between Matt and Penny. How the hell do you know Caitlin Fallon? Robert demanded. I can't really get into the details, Matt said, leaning back in his chair. Confidentiality and all that. Oh, come on, Gordon pressed. You can't drop that bomb and then not explain. Is this related to a case? Helen asked. Did you arrest her? Gordon asked. Did she commit a crime? Matt's mother, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. Matthew, stop teasing your siblings and tell them the truth. Matt held up his hands in surrender, but his smile remained. What can I say? I've got connections. But seriously, I can't say more. Caitlin values her privacy. This is unbelievable, Robert muttered, shaking his head. Believe it, Matt said. The house is on White Rock Lake. You should see the view. Penny dabbed her napkin to her lips. Would you excuse me? She asked, setting her napkin beside her plate. I need to use the restroom. Down the hall, dear, Mrs. Barry began, but Harris stood up abruptly. I'll show her, he offered, pushing his chair back with a scrape against the hardwood floor. Thank you, Harris, Mrs. Barry said. Penny followed Harris out of the dining room, feeling Matt's eyes on her back as she left. Harris had barely spoken to her all evening, maintaining a polite but distant demeanor. She'd noticed him watching her when he thought no one was looking, not with desire but with something closer to dread. They'd barely rounded the corner, out of sight of the dining room, when Harris grabbed her arm and pulled her to a stop. What are you doing here? He hissed, his voice barely above a whisper. Penny glanced down at his hand on her arm and then back up at his face. It's good to see you too, Harris. His eyes darted nervously toward the dining room. This isn't funny, Ivy, or Penny, or whatever your name actually is. Penny thought about the luxury hotel suite in Miami 3 months ago. Harris Barry, a renowned plastic surgeon, had booked her for the weekend at a plastic surgeons conference. He'd wanted someone who could talk intelligently with his colleagues, look stunning at dinner events, and keep him company in private. He paid her fee, $10,000 in cash. You need to get it together, she said calmly, removing his hand from her arm. People will notice if you keep acting like this. How are you here? Harris demanded, running a hand through his immaculately styled hair. With my brother of all people? Haven't you been paying attention? Matt and I are together. You should relax before someone comes looking for us. The panic in Harris's eyes was almost comical. You need to leave. Penny tilted her head, her voice cooling several degrees. Should I tell them why I'm leaving? Your family seems nice. I wonder what they'd think about Miami. Harris paled. What are we going to do? We aren't going to do anything, Penny said. You have a wife? I have a boyfriend. I intend to enjoy the afternoon. What about us? Harris asked. Penny looked at him with genuine surprise. There has never been an us, Harris. The words seemed to shock him. In Miami, she'd played the role he'd paid for. Charming, attentive, making him feel special. It was business, nothing more. The bathroom, she prompted. Harris pointed down the hall. Second door on the right. Penny nodded and moved past him. Once inside the bathroom, she locked the door and leaned against it, closing her eyes briefly. She studied her reflection in the mirror as she washed her hands. Her face revealed nothing of the turmoil beneath the surface. Should she tell Matt? Harris was his brother. She dried her hands on the towel hanging beside the sink. No, she wouldn't volunteer the information. But she wouldn't lie either. She'd play it by ear, make the disclosure if necessary. Penny applied a fresh coat of lipstick, straightened her dress, and took a deep breath. Whatever happened, she'd handle it. She opened the bathroom door to find Harris waiting in the hallway, looking like a man facing execution. "This stays between us," he said, more plea than demand. Penny moved past him without answering. The future would take care of itself. Jen is trying to kill Matt. She tried to hire a hitman, had someone take a shot at him during the exchange of Daisy, and may have shot up Robert's house, Kat announced. She stood and waved a hand at Matt. "Go," she told those seated. The table went silent as every head turned toward Matt. "What?" Patricia gasped. "Jesus Christ, Kat," Matt muttered. "Trying to kill you?" Chris repeated incredulously. "What the hell, Matt? Why are we just hearing about this now?" "There's an investigation," Matt replied. "It's being handled." "My God," Harris exclaimed while his wife Melissa asked, "What did you do to her?" "That's not helpful, Melissa," Harris murmured. "Well," Melissa continued, oblivious to the tension, "women don't usually try to kill their husbands unless they've done something terrible." "She has a point," Helen said. Matt's jaw tightened. "We're getting divorced. She wants money. I don't have money." He glared at Kat, who grinned back at him and slipped out of the room. Matt answered questions from concerned family members for the next 15 minutes. Melissa, Harris's wife, appeared to be firmly on Jen's side. "Where there is smoke, there is fire," she announced. At some point, Penny and Matt's mom began clearing the table. Gordon, who never helped with anything, quickly volunteered when he saw Penny assisting. "I should go help," Gordon said, watching Penny disappear into the kitchen. Matt found Kat in the living room. She made a face at him when he entered. "Got a minute?" Matt asked. Kat eyed him suspiciously. "What's on your mind?" "McKnight, did he resist arrest?" The question caught Kat off guard. "Number I went in directly behind the entry team. It went down without incident." "Why?" "Just wondering." "Bullshit. You're up to something. What is it?" "I don't have much," he said. "I want to know," she demanded. "You know that McKnight was found with a needle?" "Yes." "What you don't know is that he had a taser burn on his chest. He also had a long, straight bruise on the small of his back." "How do you know this?" "I went to the autopsy." Kat wasn't stupid, not by a long shot. "You're suggesting—" "I'm not suggesting anything yet," Matt said. "Why?" Kat asked. "Why would someone take him out?" "To keep him from talking," Matt offered. "To keep him from talking about what? It makes no sense." "Here's what we do know. He has taser marks on his chest. He has a long, straight bruise on the lower part of his back. The guard left the tower. There was an electrical fire in the utility room, which conveniently distracted everybody. And the video stopped working." Kat shifted gears. "Does Penny know?" "Number." "She knows I'm looking into it," Matt said. "Okay, keep me posted," Kat said. Afterwards, the clan adjourned to the basement and played a vicious, cutthroat, no-holds-barred game of trouble. They played 2 games at separate tables. To an outsider, Matt thought, it must look like they were fighting for the last spot on Noah's Ark. "I like your family," Penny said later when she stepped out of their master bathroom. She wore black heels and a black negligee that grabbed and held his attention. They had left his mother's house after the tumultuous trouble game ended. "Wow," he said. She turned slowly, giving him the 360-degree view. "We could play superhero," she suggested with a smile. "Superhero?" "I can be Catwoman, except the mad genius Dr. Zox has shot me with his secret laser weapon. Now I'm evil Catwoman, and you're my prisoner." "Where do you get this stuff?" She lifted a finger in the air. "Or I can be Wonder Woman and use my magic lasso to make you my foot slave." "Wonder Woman's lasso makes you tell the truth," he said. "Not my lasso." She walked to the wall and dimmed the lights. "You don't have a lasso," he pointed out. "I'll improvise." Penny crawled onto the bed. "This might hurt a little."